Jamie Moyer's remarkable career spans decades. Moyer broke into baseball as a wide-eyed bat boy in 1926, then pitched in the Major League's first night game 9 years later. In the 1970s, Jamie popularized the big hair look in baseball.
Are you kidding me? I embellished a little, just a little. Mariners baseball. My, oh my. It's gonna be great.
Hey Chris, check this out. Fastball low and outside.
Imagine that, the old Jamie Moyer changeup. You gonna swing at it?
I don't know. Looks a little high.
Looks pretty good to me. Hey, you tried that new seafood place downtown?
Quiet, man. I'm trying to concentrate.
Oh man, you got some of that. Told you.
The Seattle Mariners. You gotta love these guys.
A little something extra on that one.
Okay, well, something that you guys will soon realize if you don't already is both those commercials had some significance. They reflect a couple strong aspects of Jamie Moyer's career. Before we introduce him, I wanted to share some personal highlights for Jamie Moyer. Jamie Moyer pitched for 25 seasons in the major leagues for 8 different teams. And he's one of only 31 players in the major league history to play in 4 different decades. His career began in 1986 with the Chicago Cubs, and it ended in 2012 with the Colorado Rockies. His career included 5 seasons and a World Series championship with his home state Philadelphia Phillies in 2008, which he pitched Game 3. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up only 2 runs, struck out 5. During his career, he pitched in a total of 696 games. He started 638 of them, and he won 269 games. He pitched 4,074 innings, and he had 2,441 strikeouts. He is currently 35th on the all-time win list in major leagues and 47th on the all-time strikeout list, ahead of numerous Hall of Famers. In 2012, he became the oldest player in Major League Baseball history to win a game and also have an RBI at the age 49. He's also the oldest pitcher in Major League Baseball history to record a shutout. He did that at age 47 against the Atlanta Braves. And he's the oldest pitcher to win a game at historic Yankee Stadium. What he's known for around here is he played 11 seasons for the Seattle Mariners, and he was an integral part of what I would regard as the Mariners' golden era. Over that time, he earned a record of 145 wins against 87 losses. He was the opening day starter, which is quite an honor, 4 times, and that also included starting the first game in Safeco Field history. He won 20 games in 2001 during the Mariners' record-tying 116-win season, and that's a record that stood 130 years. And he also won 21 games in 2003, during which he was selected to play in the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. He holds the Mariner wins record for wins, starts, quality starts, and a quality start is pitching at least 6 innings and giving up 3 or fewer earned runs, and the most innings pitched in Mariners history. And he's also 3rd on the all-time Mariners strikeout list. And in 2015, he was inducted into the Seattle Mariner Hall of Fame. Beyond the field of baseball, Mr. Moyer has earned a number of other honors and awards. He was the recipient of the 2003 Roberto Clemente and the 2004 Branch Rickey Awards for his community service. He also received the 2003 Hutch Award in honor of Fred Hutchinson, and also the Luke Garrett Memorial Award for his outstanding character and integrity. He was a co-founder of a nonprofit organization originally named the Moyer Foundation that provided support for children experiencing significant physical, emotional, and financial distress, with an emphasis on those that are impacted by grief and loss and addiction. By 2011, that foundation had raised over $20 million in support of 225 different programs that directly serve children experiencing various forms of adversity. And lastly, his foundation also partnered extensively with the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center in support of research and early detection of cancer. As you can see, Mr. Moyer's contributions to this world far transcend his accomplishments on the baseball field. He is a father of 8, and he has committed his life to using his talents and his resources to benefit others and to make this world a better place. And at this point, I would like to introduce longtime family friend and former neighbor, Cindy Pierce, who will say a few words before we bring Jamie out.
Good afternoon, everybody. Are you ready to meet Jamie today? That's right. Well, it's going to be a great day today, and so many thanks to Jamie for coming out and coming to this great town in Naselle to give a little words of inspiration to all of you and to me too. So you're probably wondering, how did he get here? And I just want to briefly tell you that I am a 1977 Naselle Comet grad. I just to brag a little bit, I defeated here on badminton doubles. I won the champs here, right here. So Lynette Agee and I were the winners. Anyway, I left here and then I moved to Seattle for over 40 years, and we had some new neighbors move in, and their last name happened to be the Moyers. And with all of their children and everything, we became friends, and I became involved with the foundation, and we did a lot of wonderful things together over the years that he was a Mariner. So they were just crazy, wonderful times with him. So I asked Jamie to be here today after watching and hearing about this baseball team. And you're the reason that we're here today, because you have done an amazing job of 2 years in a row being #1 in state. And I'm just so proud of you. It's so cool to see Naselle do that, because back in 1977, we didn't have a baseball team. So anyway, congratulations to you. I hope that today you get something out of this and you can go off and become state winners again this year. So, and to finalize, I am wearing this Philly shirt. I'm not wearing a Mariner shirt because Jamie is a World Series pitcher with the Phillies. And so in honor of him, I'm wearing the Moyer shirt. So today, we're gonna be here for about an hour, break up about 2:30. So he's gonna be speaking for a bit, and we'll have time for him to speak and for you to ask questions if you have any. And on that note, without further ado, I'm honored to introduce a good friend and an all-around great guy, Mr. Jamie Moyer!
Thank you, and it's an honor to be here in Naselle at the home of the Naselle Comets, and I'm going to piggyback on Cindy's comments to you guys as a baseball team. Now, I get it, you know, some of you guys may not have been on the team last year, 2 years ago when they won, but you're on the team now, and you're representing the school, and hopefully you guys are having a good season. But is there anybody here on this team that was around last year or the previous year? Raise your hand. All right, congratulations to you guys. Congratulations, coach, because I know it takes more than just the players. It takes a coach and your staff. You have staff with you as well. Your staff, they need to all be acknowledged. So congrats, and like I said, good luck. And I know I saw some females walk into the gym earlier that have a softball game today, right? Right here. So I want to wish you guys good luck in your games, right? And I see you all smiling, so that's wonderful. I love when people are smiling, right? You know, today, Cindy had invited me to come. Well, she's actually been talking to me for a while about coming today, so to speak. And you know, again, it's a wonderful pleasure to come to a community, a tight-knit community. I I realize it's a smaller community, but I grew up in a community not a whole lot bigger. My school was a little bit bigger. We had 300 in our graduation classes. But again, it was a small knit community, so I understand and I value what that is. And you know, everybody comes from a different walk of life. Everybody's got their family and they, you know, have their education and all that. But it takes a community, right, to support a school, to support athletics, to support the children, and you know, and raise these kids in the right ways, and hopefully seeing them grow, mature, and become leaders, not only in their school, but in their community, right? And to me, you know, you guys as athletes, I know you probably love to play sports, but also comes along a responsibility with that, right? You young ladies, you also realize that. What other sports do you guys have here? We got softball, we have track, right? What else do we have? Basketball, men's and women's basketball. Nice. Softball, volleyball, football. All right, so when you're an athlete, right, there's a responsibility that goes along with being an athlete, right? You have to, first of all, you have to be accountable to yourself, right? You have to be on time, and you have to listen, and you have to be a good teammate. And you know, on all these teams that we've mentioned, it takes a group of people. It's not one person. Your team isn't great because of one person. Your team is good because it takes the whole team. Okay, and my feeling is, if you're on a sports team, you know, I think we all, those who have been in athletics, probably understand that, you know, yeah, maybe there's some better players, and then there's some guys that, or girls that aren't as good. But for me, on a team, your team is only as good as the bottom tier of your team, right? So those who maybe don't have the skill sets that everybody else has, to me, it's up to the leaders on that team to get those kids involved, to get them up to par, to give them the confidence. Maybe it's just confidence, okay? And that, to me, that would be my challenge to you athletes on all of the teams that you're on. Or if you're in the band, or if you're in the classroom, it doesn't matter what you're doing, okay? You know, I think what ends up happening in our world is that maybe the kids that are a little shy, or they don't want to talk, they get picked on sometimes. And that's not okay, because they're here to do the same thing that you're doing, right? So to me, it's up to the team to lift those players up. Yeah, the coaches can help, but it's up to you as students. This is your school. This is your community. You have one chance to go to school, right? You got 12 years to go to school, right? It's up to you to make the best of the opportunity that you're getting each and every day, right? First, you have to look at yourself and say, how can I be the best student? But if I have a classmate or a teammate that needs help, or just needs me to have a conversation with them, I can do that, right? And that's what's going to make your team, or your class, or your experience a better experience. And for some, that might be a little uncomfortable to do, but try it one time, and you'll see how uplifting it can be. I promise you, right? But you never know until you try. We all have talent, but some don't know that yet. For some it comes early, you know, when you're a little bit younger. Some it comes when you're kind of in the middle, and some it comes a little bit later. It's okay. It's okay, right? As long as you're trying and giving your best effort. That means coming to school prepared for class, doing your homework, studying, right? If you're an athlete, you have to be the student first, and then you have to be the athlete second, right? If you don't do what's required in the classroom, guess what? You're not going to be able to play on the field. So And that sometimes can be challenging, but that means you have to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Raise your hand, talk to your teachers, challenge your teachers in a good way, in a positive way. Say, I don't understand. How can we work on this? How can we spend more time with it? I want to understand this. How can I get better at this? How can we work together so I can understand this? It's the same way with sports, with coaches. Coach, I'm struggling with this. I'm not sure what to do, how to do it. Can you give me some other pointers, some other ideas, some other thoughts? How can we get through this together? Because it's a challenge. Life is challenging, right? But you gotta face it, right? If you run away from it, if you run away from your studies, you're never gonna understand it. You gotta give it a chance. It's okay to fail. You know what? Since we're talking about baseball, guess who's given up the most home runs in Major League Baseball history? Anybody have a guess? Yes, young lady, right there. Yeah. Yes, you're right, it's me. Right? So I gave up, excuse me? Yes, I'm 61 or I'm 62. I'm 61 and I am retired. Yep. And I am tired too. But no, I gave up 522 home runs, okay, in my career. I'm not proud of it, but guess what? I did it, right? Guess what? To give up 522 home runs, I had to have a lot of opportunity, right? But I earned that opportunity. I worked hard for that, right? Did I know I was going to give up 522 home runs? No. Am I happy about it? No. But guess what? You all can say, well, you failed that many times. You're right, I did. I failed. But guess what? I learned from those experiences. And I'm a big believer in life. You learn more from failure than you do success, especially in athletics, right? When you fail, you can choose to look at it in two ways. I'm a failure and I stink. Or, you know what, I failed, but why did I fail? Was I prepared? Did I work hard? Am I focused on what I'm trying to do? Did I give it my best effort? If I fail a test, is it because I don't understand the work? Or is it because I didn't study? Right? There's a difference there. If I fail in the field, or if I miss a free throw with 2 seconds left to tie the game and we lose, that just comes with practice and concentration, right? If I gave you the ball 15 minutes after the game and said, hey, go make a free throw, you'd probably make it, right? So to me, it's how you look at it. It's how you look at the failure. And for me, when failure arose during my career, I chose to try to find the silver lining in my failure, right? What was the count? What was the pitch I threw? What was the location? I mean, and it all came back to me. I took on that responsibility. And I learned that taking on the responsibility is really, really important in life, right? Everybody in this room, even the adults have had far more opportunities to make decisions in life. But you kids are younger, you're making big people decisions, even though you're in school. Down to our fourth graders. You guys make decisions every day, don't you? Right? All you guys make decisions every day. Now, what kind of decisions are you making? Am I making good decisions? You just said, I read your lips. What'd you say? Bad ones, right? That's your choice. That's your choice, right? If you make bad decisions, it's your choice. I would bet to say, all of you kids in here know the difference between right and wrong, right? You all know what the difference is between right and wrong, regardless of what you're thinking about or what you're doing. So my challenge to you is start making really good decisions and be a good example for yourself, first and foremost. And that good example will then become a good example on your teams. It would also be a good example in your classroom. but it will also be a good example at home, right? And I think when we can start thinking that way, acting that way, doing things the right way, thinking positive, right? How many times do we hear negative words in the hallways? How many times do we hear negative words? You guys use the bus to get to school? On the bus. How many times you hear negative words on the playing field? I can't do this. I hope I can do this. I think I can do this, right? Well, those are words to me that are kind of negative. Instead of saying, I can do this. I know how to do this. I can do this. And you know what? You're going to play the way you practice. You're going to score on a test the way you study. Right? So it comes down to preparation. First of all, you got to want to do it. Right? You got to want to do it. But then you have to actually do it. Give it time. Put your phone away. Turn the TV off. Walk away from the video games. Now's my time to study. Give it a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is, however you have it worked out in your household. And then when you feel like you got a handle on it, put it away and move on to the next thing. But it's the same way in practice, right? Who are my pitchers here? All right? How many times, you can just say yes or, you shake your head yes or no. Have you ever been on a mound and a catcher gives you a sign? You throw a curveball? You throw a curveball? You throw a curveball? How many times you got the curveball saying, you go, I hope I don't hang it? You've never said that? You said yes. Yeah. So what do you think that thought, how that thought's going to roll out in your actual execution of the pitch? Can't hear you. You're a big boy. You can speak. You're gonna actually not be able to execute the pitch, right? Because your last thought was a negative thought. Instead of saying, taking a breath, I can do this, or quickly visualizing it, or feeling. What is it? You know what a good curveball feels like? You know what? You're shaking your head. You know what a good curveball feels like? You know what a good curveball feels like? That's what you should be thinking about, right? How can I execute this pitch consistently, right? But putting yourself in a good frame of mind to have success, right? It's fun to win. It's fun to be successful, right? And when you win on a team, that's a lot of fun too, isn't it? Right? It's a lot of fun. But you also have to learn, how to win, but you also have to be a gracious winner, but you also have to be a gracious loser, right? You have to be respectful, right? And I believe a lot of times you learn more when you lose than when you win. Okay? But it's always fun to win. I get it. But you have to have the bad with the good and the good with the bad. Right? And then having humility. When you're a winner, you're humble. Right? I haven't seen you guys practice or play. But I've seen a lot of teams on TV, social media, all that kind of stuff, and you see all these people taunting and celebrating. To me, when you're successful, you act like you've done it before. You act like you do it all the time. Because to me, the excessive celebration just lights a fire under the other team's butt, right? So humility, play the game, play the sport with humility. Play the game with respect for your, number one, yourself, your teammates, your coaches, the umpires, and the opposing team, right? Because when you get that taste in your mouth when they're celebrating, that's not fun, is it? Right? But to me, when you act like you've done it before and you know how to do it, you know, I come from a different time or a different era in this world. And I just don't and it happens in the major leagues, it happens in the NHL, it happens in the NBA, it happens in the NFL, I get it. That's what our society thinks is cool. But on the other side of it, there's somebody getting angrier and angrier and angrier, right? So, to me, that's the challenge. But again, I always wanted to be respectful to the team across the field. I would love right now if any of the students, we'll start with the students. We will get to parents and teachers in a second. Do any of you students have any questions that you'd like to ask? Yes, sir.
If you have any questions.
What's my motive? Great question. What's my motive? What gets me up in the morning? What propels me through the day? It's a great question. I don't know that anybody's ever asked me that question. My motive, well, now when I'm, how old? How old am I? Thank you. My motive today or now is I have 8 children, as Mrs. Pierce said. I have 2 granddaughters, and I have a 3rd granddaughter on the way. I have 4 doggies, all rescue doggies, and we have a horse. So, and I'm what? What am I? I'm also retired. Thank you. Appreciate that. I love it. So, I don't have to get up and go to work every day, and my body doesn't work like it once did, so I can't run anymore. I can't do some of the fun things that I used to do, but I can play golf, and I love to do yard work. So, and I got a little garden. It's a little early for gardens, but and my dogs are important to me. My wife has a horse. He's not as important, but I do support the horse. But I'm living life. I talk to my kids very often, my children very often, who are now almost all, I have one guy in college, I have a son in college, a daughter in college, and 2 daughters in high school. So, and then my other 4 kids are older. So I have a lot of kids to chase after. So again, that motivates me, right? To kind of keep up with. And you know what, I still follow baseball. I love watching college baseball. And try to do stuff in the community. I just did something a couple weeks ago in the community where I live. I live in Washougal. Anybody ever hear of Washougal, Washington? I live in Washougal. And I love it there. It's kind of right. It's probably a little bit bigger town than this, but I enjoy living there. I like the small town vibe. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Do I ever miss baseball? Of course I miss baseball. I played baseball from when I was 8 years old until I was 49 years old. So I played baseball for 41 years. Right? I'm 61, so I played baseball for more than half of my life. I love baseball. But I also played basketball. I played football, and I played golf in high school. That was a high school sport. So I enjoy sports. I enjoy the team part of it. But ultimately, my love was baseball. And, it's funny, I'll go back a few years to when I was sitting in your uniform, okay? I was probably 5'10", as a senior, at about 150 pounds. So I wasn't very big, right? When I was in high school was grades 10, 11, and 12, okay? So there were no freshmen. And my 10th grade year, I had a very good year as a pitcher. I played on the varsity. My 11th grade year, I threw 3 no-hitters in a row. And my senior year, I had a really good year as well. In my 3 years of high school, I threw 5 no-hitters. Okay, one thing I didn't do as a student, I didn't apply myself like I should have. And, my goal in life was to play professional baseball, believe it or not. And my dream, I was very fortunate, my dream came true. However, there were some times where I didn't know I was going to get that opportunity. And when I was in high school, I was told I was too small and I didn't throw hard enough. Okay? But I loved the game of baseball. I didn't care what anybody said because I just loved to play the game. And to me, that's what it was all about, was playing the game. I wasn't thinking about making money or thinking about college. I just loved to play the game with all my buddies. Fortunately, I had the opportunity to go to college, but my grades weren't good enough to get into college. So I had to go to night school to prove to the school that I could do the schoolwork. Now I had to apply myself. I got my 2.5 or better, and I had to maintain a 2.5 grade point average to stay eligible to play baseball. And after 3 years at St. Joe's University, I had 3 pretty successful years there. And guess what I was told there? You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. You don't throw hard enough. I heard all the negatives. And guess what? I said, I don't care. I still have a uniform on, and I have an opportunity to play. And as long as I have that opportunity, I'm going to continue to play. And believe it or not, after my junior year, I got drafted in 1984 by the Chicago Cubs. Okay, so I signed a professional contract. And my first season I played was in Geneva, New York. And I was told from 1984 until 2012 what I couldn't do. Okay, somebody was always telling me what I couldn't do as a baseball player. And it was an opinion. I'm not looking at that as a negative. Okay, as I got older, I started to understand that it's just somebody's opinion, that's all. As long as you have a uniform on, you have an opportunity, don't you? Right? And that's kind of how I took it. And, you know, I was very fortunate. I stayed away from injuries, a lot of injuries throughout my career. Towards the end, I was starting to fall apart. I had a few injuries. But if I didn't believe in myself, there were times in my career when nobody believed in me. So I had to believe in myself. Okay? That story wasn't about, I tried not to make that about me, but I tried to share an experience that I had in my life. Okay? When people were telling me things that I couldn't do, if somebody says, you can't play, are you just going to say, all right, I give up, I'm walking away? No, you're going to keep playing, right? Right? If somebody says, you're horrible at math, are you going to give up? No, you're going to keep trying, right? You're going to try to, all right, well, why am I horrible? And I'm going to find out a way to get better, right? So to me, that's what we kind of go through in life, right? We bump into hurdles every now and then. And now, do we choose to run around it? Do we choose to run away from it? Or are we going to go over the hurdle? We're going to go over the hurdle, right? And sometimes we need help, right? Sometimes we have to ask people for help. Okay? Young lady, you have your hand up. No, you right there in the pink shirt.
Did you ever play any other position besides pitching?
Great question. Did I ever play any other position? Now, y'all know that I'm left-handed, right?
I'm left-handed.
Nice. And in baseball, do you ever see a left-handed shortstop? No? Well, I played shortstop all the way through junior high. Okay, so that would be middle school. And then when I got to high school, my high school coach said, lefties don't play shortstop. Well, my dad was playing fast pitch softball at that time, and I went to all of his fast pitch softball games, and he either pitched or was a shortstop. So I was trying to be like my dad. So that's why I played. And I played first base as well. I played a little bit of outfield, but I love pitching. Yes, sir. What was my favorite team to play against? No, that was, he said against, not for. My favorite team to play against, wow. I'm going to probably say the Yankees. Okay? And then you say, why? Right? Because, first of all, in the era of baseball that I played, the Yankees were always good, right? And you always want to beat the best, right? If you're going to be the best, you want to beat the best, right? And the other cool thing for me was to go, the stadium that they play in now is very nice, but the previous stadium, it was called Yankee Stadium. For some of you younger people here, they had another stadium that we had an opportunity to play in. It was called Yankee Stadium. And I loved going to Yankee Stadium because of all the history that took place before I played. Some might think that I played with Babe Ruth and things like that because I'm old, but I didn't. But I had the opportunity to play in the old Yankee Stadium where some of the all-time greatest baseball players played. And for me, that was a privilege to play in a place like that. So some days I would just go out early in the afternoon and I would sit in the stands before the gates were open. I'd just sit and look around and just take in the stadium. It was really, really, really good. Wrigley Field was the same way. Fenway Park, another old ballpark in Boston, right, is the same way. You know, appreciate where you are, what you have, the opportunities that you have in life, right? Try to learn to appreciate. You guys probably have a decent field, right? But right now, you have a field, right? You do have a field, right? And probably what's hard about your field is you get a fair amount of rain here in the spring, right? I get it. So that makes it difficult, but at least you have a field, right? I think when I drove in the parking lot, I saw you young ladies have a nice field, don't you? And you have a tarp on your field, don't you? Wow, that's impressive, right? Appreciate that, right? Thank your coach. Thank your athletic director. Thank your parents who pay taxes, right? Thank people. Show your appreciation for people that are giving you their time or their talent or their treasure, right? Because someday you're gonna be a parent. Someday all of you, someday you guys are gonna be parents and you're gonna have kids, right? And you're gonna want the best for your kids, right? That's just kind of how we roll as parents. We want to give our kids at least what we had, and maybe if we can do a little bit more, we try. So, yeah. Yes, young man with the Seattle Seahawks jersey. Speak up. Stand up. How about that? Stand up. Wow. Great question. Where do I think it would be now if I never got drafted in professional baseball? I grew up in Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, between Philadelphia and Allentown. Small town. I like working outside. I like landscape. You know, I would think that's maybe where I would have started out of high school if I didn't go to college. I went to college. I was a business major. I don't know that I could see myself sitting behind a desk for 40, 50 hours a week. That doesn't really work for me. I need something more than that. Yes, ma'am. What was my most challenging game? They're all challenging. They're all challenging. You know, the talent that I was fortunate enough to play against, I mean, I was playing against some of the best players in the world, or the best players in the world. So, you know, you really have to kind of be at the top of your game. Unfortunately, not every day you're going to have your best day. Wow, most challenging game. I had a lot of games where I was just bad. I stunk, right? A whole lot of games. Not one of those stands out. I would say probably the 3 times that stand out to me when I was most nervous and like excited, like trying to control my excitement, was my first major league start. Okay, it was when I was with the Cubs, and my first start was with against the Philadelphia Phillies in Chicago. And my idol, when I was your age and your age, my idol, my baseball idol was Steve Carlton. Now I know this part of the room knows who Steve Carlton is. This part of the room has no idea. You guys know who he is. And you people have no. Anybody here? Anybody on the baseball team know who Steve Carlton is? What? Are you kidding me? Do we have any left-handed pitchers on this team? What? When you go home tonight, you have internet at home? I want you to look up Steve Carlton, left-handed pitcher. Okay, Steve Carlton is in the Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I grew up watching him in Philadelphia. He was a great pitcher. And he was, of course, he was left-handed. So I really enjoyed watching him. Yeah, and I now consider him a friend. I've gotten to hang around with him a little bit. But yeah, he was a fantastic pitcher. So my first Major League start was my second one. My first All-Star game, I could almost not feel my feet touching the ground when I ran in from the bullpen. I was so, number one, excited and nervous, okay? And then the one game, I pitched in one World Series game in 2008. That was another tough one, where I was really, really nervous. But I mean, but I will say this, I was nervous all the time when I started a game, but in the three that I mentioned, I was like extra nervous, okay? Young man up against the back of the wall. Young man, young lady, I can't. Excuse me? Do I like pitching or hitting more? I like pitching more because I was better at pitching, right? Even when I was your age, I was better at pitching, okay? I enjoyed pitching. But as I got older, I got better because I practiced, right? Hitting is fun, I get it, but we're probably gonna tend in life to chase the things we do better, right? Or we enjoy, right? We have happiness with, or it brings us joy, right? And to me, pitching was one of those things. Yes, sir, right here. Are you sleeping with your hand up, or are you thinking about your question?
What was your favorite kind of pitch?
My favorite kind of pitch. So, probably my specialty pitch was a changeup. So I didn't throw very hard compared to, say, the Major League average velocity in 1984, 85, 86, 87 was probably about 87, 88 miles an hour. My average velocity was 83 miles an hour. My changeup was probably 68, 69 miles an hour. Okay, so I was more about location, where I was throwing the pitches, and just instead of just throwing it as hard as I could. Because when I threw it as hard as I could, it wasn't very hard. And the game was a lot different then than it is now, right? What are we taught? I'm not saying you teach this, but in general, what is taught in high school and college baseball right now for pitchers? Throw it as hard as you can. Is it that way in softball, ladies? No, it's not. It's more about finesse. It's the riser. It's the drop. Yeah, movement. Yeah, good for you guys. You didn't succumb to that junk. Yeah, so, for me it was more about finesse and location and trying to keep the hitter off balance, right? And you can make a lot of guys look pretty foolish doing what I did compared to the high velocity. And you're seeing now the big talk in Major League Baseball is what? All the arm injuries, right? Because everybody's trying to throw as hard as they can. So it's not going to change. They're not going to change it. I don't know what's going to happen. Probably nothing. But this is what they wanted. This is what they got. Yes?
What was your favorite year of baseball?
I'm sorry, my favorite what?
What was your favorite year of baseball?
My favorite year of baseball. Wow, that's a great question. Wow, I'm maybe my first year when I was 8 years old, right? When I first started to play, I thought I was very cool, right? You know, because I was a little guy watching all these big guys play, right? And I got that opportunity to play. Professionally, wow, my favorite year. Well, I mean, winning a World Series in your hometown in 2008 was really special. And then in Seattle, when we won 116 games, now I know you guys weren't even born yet, sorry. And was anybody born on this side? I don't think so. Right? So you all have to go research that tonight, right? Seattle Mariners 116 win season. You'll know what I'm talking about. That 116 wins tied a major league record of wins in a season. Okay, 116 wins is something pretty crazy. And we were able to accomplish that as a team in the regular season. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, we didn't get very deep into the playoffs. So that 116 probably doesn't stand up like it potentially could have. Yes, sir. What was the most games I had, and maybe how many games did I start in 1 year? My most starts I had in a season, I think, was 33. Maybe 34. Okay? Yes. How did I keep up in the off season when I was your age, when in high school? How did I keep up with other sports? It was pretty easy. I just took off one uniform and put the other uniform on and went to that coach and said, I'm here. I mean, and you're ready to play it. But I mean, I didn't, so when I was your age, after the season was over, I didn't pick up a baseball until probably January or February of the next year. I went and played. So in the fall, when I was in high school, I was too small for football. I do know that. I was 150 pounds, guys. And there's some kids were in my area that were going to major college, playing major college football. So I was way too small for that. So I played golf in the fall. I played basketball in the winter. And basketball got me in shape for baseball. And then I played baseball in the spring, played baseball in the summer, and then when the fall came, pushed the button to repeat, and that's what I did. And to me, I personally think your better athletes play more sports. Right? If you're going to play softball all year round, baseball all year round, potentially you're going to burn out. And it's hard in this neck of the woods to play softball and baseball all year round, right? But even basketball, you can only play, how many times can you go up and down the court, right? You should be a kid. Go be a kid. Go camping, go hunting, go fishing, go fly a kite. Do whatever you do, right? Be a kid, right? We put too much emphasis. I got to get a scholarship. Do you know how many kids are trying to get a scholarship in any sport in this country? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So be yourself. Put all your effort into it, and wherever it goes, it goes. And if you have talent, somebody will see you. I promise you. Somebody will talk for you. Somebody will talk about you. Your local newspaper, your local TV station. You'll get ink. You'll get press somewhere. Another coach will call a friend who knows a friend who's a scout or who's a college recruiter, whatever it might be. You'll get the opportunity. But you can't have just one good day. You got to be a consistent athlete. Right? You got to show consistency. You got to be healthy. You got to be a team player. Right? You got to have passion. And for me, as an athlete, you want to go to the next level? This is my challenge to any athlete in this room. What do you do different than anybody else on your team? What makes you different? Have any of you young ladies walked up to your coach and asked her, why am I playing today? How many times do you hear, why am I not playing? A lot. But I'll bet you've never heard, why am I playing? Have you ever heard it? Why am I playing, coach? Would you even have an answer to that, either one of you? Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but it's an interesting question, right? We always hear the negative side. Well, why am I not playing? Why am I not playing? Well, because you don't do this, you don't do that. But do you know why you're playing, you starters? Do you know why you're playing, you starters? You know why? Some of you have an idea, a little bit of an idea, but I think a coach telling you, but I mean, you don't have to go tell your, hey, you know why you're playing today? Make them come to you. Make them be an advocate for themselves, right? That's what, even starting at your ages here in school, be a self-advocate, right? You probably don't understand what that is. Maybe your teachers will talk about that tomorrow. But you kids right here, you can advocate for yourself, can't you? Right? That's what's going to be. When you go to college, who's going to advocate for you? Mom's not, dad's not, they're not there. Right? So you need to start to learn how to do that now. You need to take on responsibility. You need to take on accountability. You got practice today right after school. You should be out on the field raking, taking the cover off, whatever you guys do. Coach, the field's ready to go. After practice, rake it up, clean it up, pick it up. Okay, we're all picked up, ready to go. Right? That's what you do. And you do it as a team. Oh, I did something yesterday, I don't have to do it today. No. Well, we're all doing it together. Before, we're all doing it together after. I don't care if you had a good day or a bad day. Right? Pick it up. I am on social media. Anybody see what happened to Deion Sanders' team? They left the locker room messy, and he did a big social media thing about it. He blew up his team because people left dirty clothes on the floor and people were walking through. Right? That's your house. That's where you live. That's where your brotherhood and your sisterhood is, right? You guys are all sisters, right? You're all teammates. You're all sisters. You guys are all brothers, aren't you? Right? You got to play for each other. You're not playing for yourself. You're not playing for yourselves. You're playing for each other. That's when you're going to be the best team you can be. Right? Same with you guys. Guy goes 0 for 4 and you went 4 for 4. Well, you're walking around like, hey, well, what about this guy? Oh, no. We did this together, right? And then 0 for 4, who cares? Tomorrow's another day, right? Booted the ground ball, missed a pop fly, whatever it was. Life's going to go on. You're going to get fed. You're going to have a roof over your head. You're going to come to school the next day. Nothing changes. But when we let our surroundings change us, that's the hard part, right? You're letting things change you. Any parents have any questions? Parents, grandparents have questions? Yes, sir.
Are your community accomplishments as satisfying, more satisfying than baseball, or do you feel you got
It's a great question. Thank you. My community accolades, as Mrs. Pierce had talked about, he asked if I got as much good feeling about those. And yes, it is wonderful to be able to be an athlete, be on, considered, I hate to use it this way, but kind of being on a platform. But while being on that platform, learning how to use it in a proper way, in a respectful way, and in an educational way to educate people and be a good example to people on how to give back and help people, allow people to make a difference in people's lives. And again, having the opportunity to be a professional athlete was wonderful, okay? But guess what? That's over, right? That was over in 2012. We're in 2024. That was 12 years ago, right? I still can make an impact on somebody's life. You see what I'm saying? So that groundwork that I laid for myself, lasts forever, right? And it can work for you people in here too. What we used to say is everybody has time, talent, or treasure. Some people have one of them, some people have two of them, and some people have all three. Okay? Whether you have them, you have to learn how to utilize them. You have to learn how to use that. How do I use my time? How do I utilize my talent? Or how do I utilize my treasure? right? And however you choose to do it is your way of doing it. Again, there's not a right way or a wrong way. It's your way, right? I answered that? Great. Somebody else had their question. Yes?
What advice do you have for those kids who feel like they're not strong enough, big enough, fast enough, or anything else?
Okay. What advice do I have for kids that don't think they're big enough, strong enough, fast enough, or any other thoughts that you might have why you can't do something? Well, first of all, you have to change your mindset, right? You might not be big enough. You might not have had that growth spurt yet, right? You might be one of the smaller kids on the team. But you know what? If you enjoy the sport, if you like, even if you're not sure but you want to try it, go ahead and try it. It's okay, right? Everybody in this room's body shape is different. Everybody's body strength is different. Hand strength, arm strength, leg strength. But guess what? We all have the ability to have a strong mind, right? And this can be a tool. And this can be a wonderful, positive tool. And I'm a believer that if you use this in the correct way and think positively, act positively, and want to become that, whatever you want to do, you can do it. But it becomes a choice, right? Comes back to what we were talking about earlier. We all have what? A choice. You had a choice to come to school today. However, most parents are going, you're going to school, right? But when you're at school, you make choices, didn't you? You had a choice to say hello to your homeroom teacher, right? You had a choice to say hello to your friends. You made a choice to have lunch. You made a choice to have, you guys have recess? You guys down here? You made a choice to participate in recess. You make a choice to participate in your classroom. You make a choice to raise your hand right now, right? So these are all choices that you're making, whether you realize it or not. So it comes back down to what you're choosing and how you're thinking about the outcomes are going to be. If you're thinking, well, I can't do this. I stink at this. I'm not going to be any good at this, but I'll do it. Well, what do you think? How do you think that's going to work? You're probably not going to have a real good outcome. Okay, I'm a little slower at this, but I'm going to figure this out. Maybe I'm going to stay after practice. Maybe I have to, weight room's probably not for you kids yet, but for you kids here, the weight room, oh, I'm not strong enough. Well, maybe I need to get a little stronger. Maybe my agility needs to be better. Maybe my eye-hand coordination could be better. There's so many things you can do to get better, to challenge yourself. If you want to become that person, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, go to college, be the first in your family to go to college. Maybe there's kids in this world that nobody in their family is going to college. I want to be the first to go to college. I want to get a degree, college degree. Wonderful, right? But you got to have that aptitude to go chase it. Yes, honey, I know you've had your hand up a long time. I'm probably going to be talking for a while. I don't know that we're going to be signing anything. Okay? Yes. Yes, you.
What tempted you to play baseball?
What tempted me to play baseball? Wow. That was even before I was a little leaguer. My dad was, as I mentioned before, played fast pitch softball. And before I was born, he played a lot of hardball baseball. And so when I was probably, how old are you in fourth grade? 9. So probably when I was in third or second grade, I would go to all of his softball practices, and it was fast pitch softball, and I loved it. And when I got to be a little bit older than you guys, they let me shag fly balls in the outfield, and I played pepper with the guys, and then I bat boyed. And I really enjoyed that part of it. And then I became 8 years old, and I'm going to try baseball. And I loved baseball. And I got to play with my buddies. I got to play against my buddies from school, and I actually had a couple cousins that played on the same team with me. So I just had a lot of fun, right? And you like to do things you have fun in life with, right? That's probably the path you're going to take, right? Yes, sir.
Are you one of the most known Mariners players?
Am I the most known Mariners player of all time? Probably not. Okay, have you heard of a guy by the name of Ken Griffey Jr.? Yeah. How about another guy by the name of Ichiro Suzuki?
Yeah.
How about another guy by the name of Edgar Martinez? How about another guy, Alex Rodriguez? How about another guy, Danny Wilson? Yeah, I played with all of those guys. Actually, you know what? Danny Wilson is the godfather to my youngest son. Pretty cool, huh?
I have a quick question.
Pretty cool. Yes, in the purple. You're almost purple. I'll get you next. If I did, that's one I forgot to mention. Yeah, if I did, how did it feel to play with Randy Johnson? Well, Randy Johnson was a very dominant pitcher. Since nobody from here down knows who he is, again, another research project for you. He pitched for the Mariners, pitched for the Montreal Expos, the Seattle Mariners, the Houston Astros, the Diamondbacks, and I believe the Yankees. Randy threw very hard. He was very tall, and he was left-handed, and he kind of threw the ball from here. So it was a different arm angle than most pitchers, and he was pretty intimidating. I got along very well with Randy, and Randy was one heck of a competitor. Yes, ma'am. You're on the spot. Yeah, I can come back to you. How did I go through all the pressure? Great question, great pressure. Well, you know, when you do it every day for 9 months a year, 9 months out of the year, after a while, it starts to become, it's like going to school, right? So when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, you have breakfast, you get on the bus, you get in the car, you come to school, you get into kind of a routine, right? And as an athlete, it's the same way, right? And when you start to have success, you're going to build confidence, right? The more success you have, the more confidence you're going to have. When you lack success, then you probably start to lose confidence, right? So it's good practice, and then having success, and it builds confidence. And then nervousness, like I said, I was nervous for every start I had in my career. But once the game gets going, you're not thinking about that anymore. You're thinking about competing, right? So to me, the nervousness would just go away. The butterflies that you have sometimes, for me, they just went away. Okay, yes, sir. What's the annual salary of a baseball player? Oh my gosh, it's all over the map. The minimum salary today is, I think, over $700,000. I don't know exactly what it is. There's guys making $30 million and more. So there's a big gap in there. It's a lot of money, but I'll tell you what, it's having the opportunity to play a professional sport. You're away from your family a lot. And again, I'm not crying the blues. Okay, I'm just sharing that there's a lot of things that you have to give up in life to have the opportunity to play. And then if you're do you think Shohei Ohtani, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Nolan Wright, do you think those people could go to the grocery store or the mall and places like that and have a normal experience like you can? No, they can't. So that's another thing that comes along with the success. Now, I'm an old guy with gray hair. If I walk down the middle of Naselle, Main Street, nobody would even know me, right? But if I was 6'5" and, had, physical features, you might recognize me, right? But, or a football player, a guy that's 6'7" and 285 pounds, whoa, where'd that guy come from, right? So you notice those things. But yeah, to me, I didn't play for the money. The money takes care of itself. If you do what you do and you do it well, you will be compensated in whatever profession you have. I promise you. If you're really good at what you do, it will take care of itself. But you have passion, put your energy into the passion in being successful doing it, people will respect you for that. Yes, sir. My favorite team to play with. Wow. The Mariners was a favorite, and I'm going to say the Phillies because we won a World Series in 2008. Winning is fun, right? We like it when we win, right? But we learn when we lose, right? We don't put our head in a hole when we lose, right? Any parents, teachers have any questions? I don't know where we are in time. Yes, sir. My favorite catcher to work with, I'm going to say Danny Wilson was my favorite. I probably threw to him the longest of any catcher. Carlos Ruiz with the Phillies. Some of you, this crowd in the corner might know a guy by the name of Jim Sundberg was a catcher. I really enjoyed throwing to Jim Sundberg. They're probably my three most favorite. Yes, sir. How much did I make a year? It varied. It varied. It varied. So when I first started, the league minimum was $68,000 in 1986. Okay? Yeah, I just mentioned that the league minimum now is over $700,000. So times have changed. Yes. Woo. Players I appreciated facing and not facing. Well, one that jumps out immediately, facing was Scott Brocious. I had my way with Scott Brocious. Mike Schmidt was a difficult hitter. I'm aging myself, but Mike Schmidt was a difficult hitter. Bernie Williams gave me some problems. Chili Davis gave me some problems at the end of his career. In the beginning of his career, he couldn't have hit me with a tennis racket. Believe it or not, Mark Kotze wore me out. Lefty on lefty, wore me out. Carlos Delgado gave me some fits as well. Boy, there weren't too many easy outs. There aren't many easy outs. They're all good. Sometimes you find ways, guys sometimes have tendencies or are unwilling to change. And if you can find a hole, then you just beat that hole up. If they're not going to make the change, you stay right with them. But it's those guys, or the guys that get to 2 strikes, they're taking a big swing until they get to 2 strikes, and all of a sudden they shorten up, and now they just want to pepper the ball, put the ball in play. For me, that's a tough out. But the guy with the big, long swing, I have you right here in my hand. Yes, sir. What are my thoughts on the pitch clock? Well, that's what we're hearing. I don't know. His question was, what are my thoughts on the pitch clock? You all know that there's a pitch clock in Major League Baseball now, right? And they just moved it from 20 seconds last year to 18 seconds between pitches this year. In this style of gladiator baseball, is kind of what I call it. It's gladiator baseball. The hitters swing as hard as they can, right? The pitchers don't throw inside anymore because they're not allowed to, or they're not supposed to. If they hit somebody, they get thrown out, right? We don't want anybody to get hurt. So we've taken part of the game away. That what we know, the older group knows of the game. We've sped the game up to keep this crowd into it, right? And I'm okay with speeding the game up, but don't change the rules completely and turn it upside down, right? Because, you're hearing a lot of people, and I am too, we're not dumb, we're reading media and stuff like that. They're saying, well, the pitch clock is forcing the errors or forcing the injuries because there's not enough time to recover between pitches. Well, our bodies as human beings are not made to do this. They're made we can do this all day long, right? So this takes a toll. Now, these kids, how many here have been playing baseball only their whole life? Anybody? You guys, you're from a little town. town, you're playing football, you only have 25 in your class, you're playing football, basketball, baseball, whatever, right? But you go to, most places, bigger parts of the country, most kids are playing their sport, and their sport only. Their whole, maybe from 8, 9, 10 years old on up. Now think of the repetition. And they're playing, if they're not playing all year, they're playing 10 months out of the year. They're not jumping from sport to sport to sport. And in my opinion, play with a lot of great athletes. Most of the great athletes I played with played several sports. Yes? All right, let me finish this and we'll take one more. Thanks, boss. I like that. By the way, that's George Pierce. Everybody give George Pierce a hand. So really, to me, I don't know if it's necessarily, I like the pitch clock. It does keep you coming. But I don't like, you can only throw to first base twice. You can't slide into bases. Now the infielder can't be in front of the bag at second base. They call that, what, obstruction, or, it's like, what rules can we create here? I mean, it's getting ridiculous. There's no collisions. I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but that's part of the game. And but they don't, again, they're paying so much money, we're hearing about these money questions, right? We know where that's coming from, right? And they don't want guys in the DL. Well, there's 200, I'm going to say last year, there were 236 Tommy Johns. I think I heard that yesterday. And so, or no, it was in the draft. It was in the draft. Excuse me? Yeah, and now it's these kids coming out of high school, right? So, I mean, they've created some sort of monster here, and I don't know how they're ever going to deal with it. I don't know how they're going to change it. I really don't. And I think the better, relievers can only now pitch 2 days in a row because they're going 100%. They can't do it 3 days in a row. Back in the 80s and 90s, relievers are probably, basically relievers are failed starters. It's kind of, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's the case, right? So it is what it is. Or because they couldn't get to a third pitch, right? So they're failed starters. It's kind of because they're all, at one point they were all great, right? They were all great. But now you put them in this big pool of great players, they start to get weighted out for whatever reasons. Right? I forget where I was going with this. I'm over 60, so I can have that moment. But yeah, so I mean, to me, it's we've tried to intervene so much in this game and put our thumbprint on it to change it. For why? I don't know. I get the speed up part of it, but you watch when the playoffs come. They're going to be 3.5-hour games. Why? Because they're going to have 3 minutes of TV commercials to pay the bills. So they want it when they want it, and they don't want it when they don't want it, right? So let's just be across the board here. Let's be open and true and say, all right, if this is what we want, this is what we're doing, right? But I think they've opened Pandora's box, and now we may be in trouble. So, all right, one more question. You sit right here. Yes, you have the hat on. Yes, sir. Speak up. Stand up. Speak up. Have I ever done a sponsorship commercial? Boy, have I ever done it? Yeah. I did. I was with a company in Seattle called All-Star Auto Glass. Yeah, I was a sponsor, a representative for a windshield company in Seattle. But you were hoping I was going to say Nike or Adidas, right? And that's what I wore Nike shoes and I wore a Wilson glove, but I was never really, the caliber of player to be on a commercial or be sponsoring that organization. All right. Thank you very much. I want to wish you all a wonderful spring.
Jamie Moyer for his generous investment of time and his message to our students. Also, want to thank George and Cindy Pierce for what they did to get him here. Now, Jamie, please come back up here. So our baseball and fast pitch coaches have a small token of appreciation for you. So for coming out here. So we're first want to present you a t-shirt with all the signatures on it. All right. And then Coach Lindstrom and his players have something for you as well. Okay, let's give him one more round of applause as well as our coach. Again, this has been an honor. What a tremendous gift and generous gift from you. So, with no further ado, we're going to can we get a picture with the fast pitch players? All right, let's do that. And then we'll get a picture with the baseball team. Who's going to take the picture? Okay, everybody look up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, baseball team.
All right, good luck to you.
Good luck, ladies. Okay, you got a crowd together like you like each other. Come on, Dean. All right, here we go. All right, great job. Thank you.